What would you do if your husband cheated on you on your wedding night? Imagine falling in love with someone who hurt you. But you loved them anyway. He cheated, you forgave, you believed marriage would change everything, but instead, it changed your life forever. You said yes and walked down the aisle. You gave him your heart, completely. But on the night of your wedding, the man you just married cheats on you again. This time, with your own bridesmaid. This is not just a story, this is a lesson. This is Jesse's story. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button, grab your popcorn, and maybe a tissue, because this story is full of pain, power, and hard lessons. Paul and Jesse were everything people dreamt of in a relationship, until they weren't. They met at a prestigious business conference in Abuja. Paul, a smart and driven manager at Swift Logistics, had captivated the room with his presentation on the sustainable transport models. Jesse, an elegant HR executive at a Greenpoint Tech, had been drawn to his confidence and clarity. He, on the other hand, had noticed her earlier, seated in the front row, her notepad full, her eyes sharp with curiosity. Their conversation after the conference was electric. They talked about work, dreams, faith, and their love for amala and pepper soup. Numbers were exchanged, and from that very moment, sparks flew, and never stopped. Their connection wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Late-night calls turned into sleepovers, movie nights together, cooking together on weekends, shared Spotify playlist, dancing to soft R&B songs in their matching pajamas became their routine, and weekend getaways to mountain resort. It was all magical. They knew each other's phone password and had keys to each other's apartments. Jesse would drop by at Paul's place unannounced, and Paul would do same. It was love so deep and comforting. Jesse believed that this was it. This was the man she would grow old with. Paul said same. They were even saving up for their dream wedding and talking about buying land in Lekki together. But love, as Jesse would later learn, isn't always enough. It was a breezy Saturday evening. Jessie, fresh from a hectic work week, had spent her afternoon cooking Paul's favorite, jollof rice with peppered goat meat. She decided to surprise him. She rushed over to his apartment, smiling at the thought of his reaction. She walked into Paul's apartment with her spare key. The sitting room was quiet. She gently placed the food on the side table, then quietly walked into the bedroom. The sound of running water told her he was in shower. She sat down quietly on the edge of his bed, waiting patiently. As she waited, Paul's phone suddenly beeped. She ignored it. But then, it beeped again and won't stop beeping. Curious to know what it was, she reached out for the phone. It was a number saved as plumber. She wondered what was wrong and why the plumber was texting so many messages in a row. She opened the message. What she saw made her blood run cold. I'm home now and I still can't stop smiling. I enjoyed every minute with you. I didn't know you were this good. Can't wait to see you again, babe. Her hands trembled. Her heart cracked open, tears rolled down her cheeks. This wasn't just a fling, it was passionate, it was intimate, it was real. She couldn't believe it. Paul had cheated on her again, for the third time. Paul stepped out of the bathroom humming and drying his hair. He froze when he saw Jessie. He wasn't expecting her. His smile vanished. He saw her teary eyes and wondered what was wrong, but the phone she was holding told him everything. Before he could speak, Jessie was already at the door, walking out of the apartment. She didn't look back. Paul didn't chase her because he didn't want to create a scene outside. He thanked God that Jessie didn't meet the so-called plumber girl that he was cheating with. The girl had left a bit earlier before Jessie arrived. Jessie ran to her best friend Stephanie and cried her heart out.
I can't do this anymore,
she said.
He cheated on you 3 times. You deserve better, girl. You need to leave him.
Stephanie held her and told her the hard truth.
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Jessie nodded silently. This time around, she was going to leave him for good. She won't forgive him again. Paul tried everything. He begged, sent her long messages, used different numbers after she blocked him. He sent texts filled with promises, "Please Jessie, I swear with my life, I will never cheat again. If I ever cheat again, leave me forever. I've really changed. Give me a chance to prove it, please." Jessie read the text messages with disgust. He'll never change, she thought. Days turned into weeks. Paul sent flowers, handwritten letters, and even called Jessie's family to beg her on his behalf. Jessie tried to move on, but her heart ached. Despite the betrayal, a part of her still loved him. Her heart softened. She missed him, his warmth, his laughter, the man he used to be. She forgave him. Paul did everything right. He took her on dates, prayed with her, spent more time with her, and made her feel special again. Jessie was cautious at first, but she began to believe that he had truly changed. Then on their 3rd-year anniversary, Paul invited her to a rooftop dinner. The entire place was decorated with fairy lights and white roses. A jazz band played in the background. As the sun set, Paul went down on one knee.
Jessie, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I made mistakes, but if there's one thing I'll never do again, it's lose you. Please marry me.
Jessie, with joy in her heart, accepted immediately. Their wedding was beautiful. An elegant event at a high-end center in Lagos, attended by colleagues, family, and close friends. Jessie wore a lovely white mermaid dress. Her bridesmaids looked amazing, especially her old friend Tonya, who had always been a bit flatty. The wedding ended in bliss. The couple was chauffeured to their hotel suite, lavish, romantic, perfect. Jessie, exhausted, took off her dress and stepped into the shower. She called out for Paul when she came out, but he was gone. Maybe he went to get wine, she thought. She waited, but he didn't return. She tried calling his phone but realized he had left it in the room. Worried, she got up and walked down the hotel hallway looking for him. Down the hallway, from the slightly open door of the next suite, she heard soft moans. She moved closer and peered in. And then she saw it. Paul and Tonya were tangled in each other, on their wedding night. Tonya straddled him, her dress pulled up to her waist. Paul's hands was gripping her thighs, his face buried in her neck. Their bodies moved in quick and rush, like they had been waiting for this moment. It wasn't love, it wasn't gentle, it wasn't romantic. It was raw. Rushed, shameless, and it was happening in Jessie's wedding night. She couldn't believe her eyes. Her own husband, with her bridesmaid, right there, on their wedding night. She stepped back in disbelief, making a sound which made Paul and Tonya turn to look. They quickly stopped and froze, staring at Jessie, embarrassed. Jessie didn't scream, she didn't cry, she stood still, heartbroken, as everything inside her fell apart. After Jessie caught Paul cheating on her with her friend on their wedding night, she should have left, but she didn't. Why? Because she was ashamed. What would people say? After that big wedding? Didn't she say Paul was her soulmate? She didn't even last in the marriage. The thought of gossip and mockery held Jessie like chains. She stayed. Not because she was happy, but because she was embarrassed. Every morning, she woke up with swollen eyes from crying all night. She smiled in front of people but was broken inside. She thought maybe it will get better, but sadly, that was only the beginning. Before marriage, Paul cheated secretly, but now, Paul cheated openly, like he didn't care anymore. He didn't hide it. In fact, he now flirted with women boldly, even when Jessie was present. He no longer feared Jessie finding out. He became a chronic shameless womanizer. Nothing underskirt was safe around him, single girls, married women, even older women that looked like his aunties. He once joked in her presence about a neighbor's backside, saying it was worth chasing despite her gray hair. Jessie was disgusted. He was no longer the sweet Paul she fell in love with. This was a total stranger. When Jessie's friends visit, Paul would throw sly smiles and make comments like, Debbie, your hips are getting bigger. Are you sure you're not trying to tempt me? Sandra, you're looking good today. My wife should dress like you. Jessie was embarrassed, but she just smiled, covering up her pain. Some of these friends looked at him like he was crazy and wondered why Jessie ended up with someone who was disrespecting her in her presence. While some of them had no shame, they flattered back. Some even slept with him. Jessie found out through strange whispers, late-night calls, and even one friend who accidentally left her earrings in their guest room while she was away. She was deeply hurt and embarrassed. Out of shame, Jessie stopped inviting her friends over. She deleted their numbers, she cut herself off. She didn't want Paul near any woman she knew. She was tired of being disrespected. She wondered if Paul will ever change and realize that what he was doing was wrong, but he never did. Paul became so shameless that he once brought a girl to the house when Jessie was home and told her, "Don't make noise, my wife is sleeping." Another time, he saved a girl's number as generator repairman, but she came wearing high heels and red lipstick. Jessie didn't argue anymore. She just stood and watched, confused, defeated and tired. She cried silently. She was broken. How did I end up like this? She asked herself over and over again, but she didn't have the mind to live. She was stuck up with what people will think about her. Even after she gave birth to 2 beautiful kids, thinking it would make Paul change, he never changed. He got worse. The numbers that he once saved as plumber or generator repairman was now saved as sweet and weird names like Babe, Sugar, Emily Hotel, Rosalind Roadside, Amaka Hookup and all sort of dirty names. He brought women to the hotels near their street and sometimes to other cities. Some of these women still came to Jessie's house, looking for him. "Is Mr. Paul around?" they'd ask, with eyelashes long enough to sweep the floor. Jessie would want to scream but could only whisper, "He's not home." One day, she tried to beg him.
Paul, please stop bringing women home. The kids are watching you.
Paul shouted.
If you don't like it, pack your load and leave. I feed you. I house you. I own you. Don't talk nonsense again.
Jessie wished she could leave, but how? The society would condemn her and call her a single mother. She had no job, no money, no savings. The day she got pregnant with their first child, Paul told her to stop working. "Take care of the home. I'll provide everything." He had said sweetly and she obeyed. Now, she was stuck, broke and trapped. She was now a full-time broke housewife. The only money she got was the leftover change after buying groceries. Anytime she tried to talk about getting a job, Paul would say, "You're a mother now. Stop being selfish. You want to leave the kids and go and chase after men." He didn't want her to do same thing he was doing to her. He claimed he was the man and could do anything he wants and she was under her and must obey whatever he says. Every time Jessie tries to apply for remote jobs that was less time-consuming, Paul insulted her and called her useless. He reminded her she was feeding from his pocket and even called family meeting, telling everybody that Jessie was inconsiderate and a wicked mother. Jessie felt trapped. She was just a prisoner in her own home. She cried daily, but no one knew. Her pain was hidden behind her forced smiles. Paul continued cheating and the cheating now came with consequences. Paul started giving Jessie several sexually transmitted diseases one after the other. She was always at the hospital, always taking pills, always using creams, treating one STD after another. It became a normal routine. Paul never denied them or apologized, he just laughed. One day, after days of serious itching and pain, Jessie went to the hospital and found out she had a very dangerous STD, one that gave her painful sores in her private part. She couldn't sleep at night, she couldn't walk properly. When she told Paul about it, he only laughed and said,
Go and treat yourself. That's all you're good at. Treating diseases and depending on me.
Jessie locked herself in the bathroom and cried so hard. She wept until her eyes swelled shut. She made a vow that night.
Never again. I will never allow Paul touch me again. I would rather die.
Jessie moved out of the bedroom and stayed in the small guest room. It was cold, simple and quiet. Paul didn't ask why, he didn't care. He had so many women outside to fill the space. Whether Jessie was near him or not made no difference. For months, they never touched each other. The only conversation between them was good morning, good evening, and that was it. Jessie got used to the silence. She was finally free from his hands. She spent her night with her kids, reading bedtime stories, praying quietly, and crying sometimes when they were asleep. She still wished for change, but she knew Paul would never change. One evening, Paul came back from work looking tired, more tired than usual. He looked like something was bothering him. His face was pale. He didn't talk much, he just walked in, dropped his bag, and went straight to the bedroom. Jessie noticed. Something didn't feel right with him. That night, she went to bed in her usual guest room. But not long after, Paul came in and started touching her, trying to make love with her. Jessie was shocked. This was strange. It had been months since they were together and now he suddenly wanted her.
No!
She whispered, pushing him away. But Paul didn't stop. His grip tightened, he became forceful, trying to force himself on her. Jessie became scared and pushed him away. She ran to her children's room and locked the door behind her. Her heart was beating fast. She laid beside her sleeping kids and whispered in tears.
Is this what he has become? Is he trying to rape me now?
Paul came to the door and banged on it hard, shouting,
Open this door! You're still my wife!
He only stopped when he realized that the children were sleeping and would wake up if he continued shouting. The next morning was awkward. Jessie was scared and confused. She avoided Paul's eyes while placing his breakfast on the table. He didn't speak either. From that day, she started sleeping in her children's room, to feel safe because that was the only safe place for her in the house. 1 week later, Jessie was searching for something important, her children's birth certificates. She needed them for school registration. She searched everywhere, her room, the children's room, the living room drawers, but couldn't find it. The only place left to check was Paul's room. She hadn't stepped in there for months. With a deep breath, Jessie opened the door. The air felt heavy. She searched the drawers, wardrobe, but didn't find anything. Where could it be? She thought. She bent down and checked under the table and bed. That's when something strange caught her eyes, a black nylon bag. She brought it out and opened it. Inside were several packs of strange drugs. She picked them up and stared at them confused. The names were strange: Zidovudine, Efavirenz, Lamivudine. She had never seen or heard of them before.
What are all these used for? What could be wrong with him?
She asked, confused. She suspended the searching for the certificates and grabbed the drugs and headed straight to the nearby pharmacy. She showed the pharmacist the drugs and asked,
Please, what are these drugs used for?
The woman looked at the drugs, then looked back at Jessie with a serious face.
These are for HIV patients. Any problem?
Jessie didn't answer, her heart began to spin.
Paul has HIV.
She whispered. She came back home, her heart heavy. Then she remembered how he tried to force her that night.
So he wanted to sleep with me because he wanted me to get infected too? He wanted the both of us to suffer together for what he did.
It all made sense now. She didn't say a word. She quietly placed the drugs back under the bed where she saw it. From that day on, Jessie became a woman on mission. She acted like she didn't see anything. She still greeted Paul normally, she still served his food. But inside, she was burning. She made a decision one night: she must protect herself and her children. She was ready for any outcome of it. She took a secret loan using her old gold jewelries and support from a friend abroad. She started applying for visas for herself and kids. She lied to Paul about going to church or parents' meetings when she was going to immigration office. She knew how manipulative Paul can be. He'll definitely harm her if he finds out, so she became extremely careful. Months later, the visas was approved. Jessie packed carefully, only the necessary clothes, important documents, and the children's favorite toys. Then, on a quiet morning while Paul was away for work, she dropped two things on the dining table: a brown envelope of the divorce papers and the HIV drugs Paul had been hiding. Then she took her kids and left the country, forever. Paul returned from work that evening. The house was quiet, too quiet. He noticed the children's shoes were gone, the wardrobe half empty. He rushed around, looking for them, but they were nowhere to be found. Then he saw the envelope and his HIV drugs on the dining table. He was shocked. He opened the envelope. It was a divorce paper. His hands began to shake. He called Jessie in anger.
Where are you? Bring my children back, or else you regret this.
But Jessie replied calmly.
Don't waste your time threatening me because I'm already out of the country with my kids. Keep your energy to yourself. You have HIV, Paul, and you try to infect me with it. I won't let you destroy our kids' life, especially with your womanizing lifestyle.
Paul fell silent. He had no reply. She was right. He tried to beg, but it was too late.
Well, I'm going to do you a favor by allowing you see your kids once in every year.
Jessie said, then hung up her phone. Paul dropped his phone and sat on the floor. He realized he had lost the only good things in his life. He had lost them: his wife, his kids, his home, all because of his greed and wickedness. Now he had to live with the deadly disease alone. No one wanted him anymore, not even the girls he once chased. They all found out about his virus and stayed away from him. He began spending his days at a beer parlor, drinking until he couldn't walk. He would come home crying like a child.
I chased away the only woman who truly loved me.
But it was too late. He became depressed, went to bed crying every night, haunted by his past, alone, sick, regretful. Jessie, now settled in the United States, got a job as a cashier in a supermarket. The pay wasn't so high, but it was enough. She paid the loan slowly, sent her children to school, and paid her bills. She had peace of mind, she could breathe well, she smiled more often, no more tears, no more begging, no more shame. She found peace and found herself. She was free now. Even though she was still paying the loan, she smiled every day and said it was worth it. One night, she looked at her kids as they slept and smiled.
We are safe now. I saved us. The loan was worth it. Freedom is worth it. I will never go back to that life. Never ever again.
Love is not enough, respect, loyalty, and safety matter more. Jessie loved Paul deeply, but his lack of respect, repeated betrayal, and emotional abuse showed that love without mutual values can destroy more than it builds. Don't ignore red flags. The signs were there from the beginning: cheating, lies, and manipulation, but Jessie ignored it. The earlier you recognize toxic behavior, the easier it is for you to walk away before it ruins your life. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't think and hope for them to change. Jessie stayed because she was afraid of what people would say, but in the end, the people didn't help her, she suffered alone. This teaches us that your peace and safety are more important than what people would think. Paul trapped Jessie by making her jobless and dependent on him. Having your own source of income is the key to protecting your own freedom and making strong decisions. Despite all Jessie went through, she found strength to protect her children. Her love for them gave her courage to escape and start a new life. Staying in a toxic relationship for comfort, security, or appearances is like living in a cage. True peace comes from walking away, even if it means starting from zero. Paul thought he could keep cheating, lying, and haunting Jessie, but in the end, he lost everything and was left alone with shame, regrets, and sickness. This reminds us that our actions will always come back to us. Karma is real. I'll say this again, listen to me, don't stay in a toxic relationship because of love, children, shame, or fear of being judged. Love yourself enough to walk away because you deserve peace, safety, and true happiness. You're stronger than you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. Kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section and also do well to share with your family, friends, in fact all your loved ones. Something good is always coming, so please stay tuned for more interesting and amazing stories from this channel.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to Hopela Stories.